What's going on, guys? Welcome to the Creating Wealth Podcast, where I, Kyle, from Kyle Curtin Real Estate, interview local top dogs in the real estate investing, wealth building, and personal finance industries. Let's build together. Welcome to episode 5 of the podcast. Today, I get the amazing opportunity to interview Joe DeCola. He is a super knowledgeable investor, currently house hacking a single-family property in Malden, Mass. There is unreal amounts of information worth its weight in gold in this episode, especially for newer investors that are starting out fresh. This conversation is so valuable and carried on a little longer than usual, but for really good reason, so it's going to be split into 2 episodes. I hope you enjoy. Let's jump right into the episode. Like, one really big thing that I want to stress that I kind of figured out relatively recently, your age and experience doesn't really matter when it comes to reaching out to people.
No,
you don't have to be some big hot shot. You don't have to have a master's degree in finance to do what we're trying to do. Anybody can do it. And it was really surprising to get kind of the awareness that people want to help other people too, especially new people.
I know.
It
is surprising.
Yeah, definitely. I walked into my first meetup and I was like, oh, I'm just going to be like, that 19-year-old kid, nobody's going to want to help me. I'm going to be in there for no reason. And I ended up meeting a lady in there that, I talked to for a while after. She showed me, a bunch of stuff that was really valuable. And then we started meeting on Saturday mornings with a couple other people. And she was one of the really big, I guess teachers, you could say, to start everything. And I was like, wow, I wonder if there's other people like her, that would want to just talk about this stuff even, or, how can I help them in any way? And there's so many people out there. And what you think in your mind of how things are going to be with people, they're not going to want to do anything with me because I don't have anything to give them. I feel like you just have to kind of wipe those away and then just go see what happens. And to your point about, if a new lender was in the area, call him up. What's he gonna do? Not answer? Well, maybe not answer the phone, but you know what I mean. He's not gonna rush you off the phone,
Right? No, he's not.
Exactly. So you never know who's out there.
A lot of people that can be in your team don't even have to be anybody that owns any rentals or even does flips or into real estate at all. Maybe there's people out there that are CPAs that are just super passionate about helping people with their taxes. They don't own any properties on their own, but they genuinely wake up in the morning pumped to do people's taxes. Those people exist. There's people that love to get people into their first house or their second house with a lender or that type of thing. So you can't be a master at everything. You can read a million books, you can do as much as you can, but like you said, there's only so many hours in a week. So it's nice to meet these people that, and they are willing to help. It's because that's their job. And, when they do their job correctly and when they help people, both parties win. It's a win-win situation on both sides.
Exactly.
So,
yeah,
it's cool stuff.
Totally. And that's really huge about, meeting as many people as you can, and all the opportunities that show themselves and the doors that open is out of this world. You don't know what you're walking into, It's just so crazy. And I don't know.
No, yeah, you're right. It is. So,
right. What are the most effective resources that have helped you the most so far on your journey?
Gotcha. So I will say, when I started working full time and I knew that I wanted to invest my money, I would look, I looked about stocks, picking stocks. I looked at index funds, mutual funds. I looked at futures trading. I looked at commodities. I looked at, buying, different things at market prices, etc. Real estate, whether it be in funds or actually buying properties, that type of thing. So, I mean, I would say what was this one again? Sorry. I keep sending myself on a side tangent. Yeah.
what are the most effective resources that have helped
Oh, yeah.
you the most far on your journey?
Yeah. So, and then when I was looking at those things, I started reading books, and, then I started looking at things on my own after reading the books. So I would see, what things I had control over, how much risk was involved in each of these things, kind of seeing, what was a good path that I could see myself going down. So then I started focusing more on the real estate stuff. And then from there, I remember I made a Bigger Pockets account, and I went to all of like the local areas and like by region and that type of thing. I started reading pages and pages of multifamilies and first-time home buyers and all of this stuff that would, pertain to kind of my market area. And, you read a few other finance books and real estate books and that type of thing too. And you see, there's people buying 3 units for $100,000 in like Indiana or Kansas or like who knows where,
Yep.
Tennessee. But it's like, all right, that's not going to work for me, but that's okay. It doesn't mean it's not out of reach. I like the area and I wanted to stay around here, and certain parts are growing. So then I tried to find more people that were trying to operate in the same ball game that I was. So then, going from a high level to more and more specific, I figured out, the real estate meetups, which are now all virtual because of the world situation right now, but going to a lot of those in person was very helpful. So that was like one of my best resources. And, just talking to people, asking them questions, seeing their experience and that type of thing. So I would say, resources that helped me in that order. I started with the books, then I went to the online communities about, the real estate and the housing and that type of thing. And then I started like putting all the pieces of the puzzle together. So when I met someone in person and they said, this is what a Fannie Mae loan is, this is what mortgage insurance is, this is what a, owner occupied tax exemption is, not knowing what any of this stuff was before, it was really starting to put the pieces of the puzzle together. Mm-hmm. So I would say that my resources were in those like 3 main groups. There was the books and articles of people that have done it and are currently doing it and successful at it. Then there's the online communities, Facebook groups, following the right people on Instagram, YouTube videos, huge help, whether you're looking at, how to analyze an investment property, like how to redo a bathroom, or what is an FHA loan, or how to be a good landlord, all of those things, resources. And then the third step, the most specific one, and the one that's, right on my front doorstep, is those around me in this community that are doing the same thing. So there's no need to reinvent the wheel with a lot of it. Just learn from others' mistakes, learn from your mistakes. See how others have been doing it, and try to, everyone's situation is different. You can't model it exactly, but you can, if you get one idea from each person, then you have a full book of good ideas. Yep. So that's how I perceive it and how I've gone about it. My main resources groups.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
All those are definitely extremely valuable. Even with the books, man, and even like YouTube, like I first got into investing like yourself, with the stocks and the index funds and stuff like that. Every question that you have about that kind of stuff, somebody's made a YouTube video about it.
Right.
Or exactly. A Google search. Like the amount of information that we have in this day and age is absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
Maybe imagine trying to do this like 50 years ago or something, like no internet. There's a couple books here and there, but you have to find them. But
right, I know.
I feel like it's like the information is so at our fingertips now that it's ridiculous. Like it's literally right there. And like if you want to learn how to do something, anything, like you said, from like redoing a bathroom to learning how to analyze a property for the first time.
Yep.
And it's nuts.
And,
like you don't really, I don't want to say that you don't have to pay for any of it, but a lot of this information is literally just out in the open.
No, it is.
And it's right there.
even if you were doing other stuff, like say you were studying for something in college and like, there was a chapter on the calculus that you couldn't understand from reading the book. Like someone's going to explain it outright on YouTube.
Yep.
Like it's crazy. There's so much free knowledge out there. It's like, yeah, people are all about their certificates and degrees and all of this stuff too. But, a lot of other people can learn just as much, if not more, if they really want to. So
exactly.
The resources are there. You just need to push yourself to jump into them, because someone's not going to force you to go to a class and lecture you in front of yourself every day. You're going to have to be you're going to be the teacher, and you're going to have to teach yourself.
Yep.
So
that's so true, man. Self-education is extremely important.
Yeah.
And I feel like you're right. Like the information's all there. It's just having the desire to go out and find it and learn it.
That's right.
Execute. And,
and
it's, like it doesn't take a bunch of money to get the information or, go meet the right people. Like bigger pockets, like the amount of resources on there alone.
Yeah.
The people, you can look up people in your area. You can go and meet these people. You can have like relationships for the rest of your life and, help each other out the whole way. It's ridiculous how much is out there. You just have to have the desire to go out and get it.
Yep. Oh yeah. So no, I'm with you. It, people will say that with all the technology in this day and age, it's creating a lot of problems, which it can be, but it's also opening up a lot of doors. Like, we're not there yet, but there's software to analyze properties. It's going to get to the point where you can buy and manage a property without even seeing it in person, not having to get on a plane.
Yep.
So doing these virtual walkthroughs and 3D showings and all this stuff, it's, there are a lot of tools on our fingertips. So
totally,
it all helps. I know there's a Bigger Pockets app. There's, mortgage calculators. You can have your Google Sheets open as you're walking through a house that's for sale and be punching in like the square footage of the bedrooms and see how much you're estimating to pull in and rent.
Yep.
It's like, you can set these systems up to really help.
And if you didn't know how to make that Google spreadsheet, there's probably a video about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep backtracking and learning, and everything that you wanted to know is out there for the most part.
For sure.
So we already went over a bunch.
Yeah.
That could be an answer to this question. But what is something that you thought about business, networking, or wealth creation that changed as you went along?
Yeah. So I guess I kind of thought, so this is a good question. I was thinking about this. Like everybody sees the big tech companies or like the next big app that took off.
Yeah.
And the way that people are looking at it is like you're either on that level or you're just like middle class and like just work your whole life and retire at 65 and that's it.
Yeah.
But a lot of how things operate, if you make a bunch of small steps in the right direction every day or every week or every month, you'll be at a goal, I think, a lot faster than you realize that you can be, because you're learning as you go. And like, even at someone in their 20s or 30s years old, if they just started then and really jumped into doing the research and like buying something or that type of thing, you can make a ton of ground in 10 years. So, if you don't have that $1 million idea when you're 25 years old, if you didn't start a clothing line or like, a shoe brand or like something have 200,000 followers on like a social media or something when you're 35 years old, it doesn't mean that you're not going to be able to make it.
Yeah.
Like people create wealth and create success daily doing a bunch of different things. So I think that, what I've seen is, some methods are obviously faster than others, but if you stick to your system and you do your, if you do your due diligence, then, there are ways to amass like crazy amounts of wealth, even, if you do it right and you're determined. So, but it doesn't happen overnight, and, you don't have to be super well known, like a celebrity or anything like that. But I mean, there's different avenues for this.
Yep.
And I guess too, like what kind of changed in the world of how I saw things, it was like the school system and kind of how we are brought up. It really does teach us to study hard, work hard, get a job in a high paying field and like ride that out, work up the corporate ladder. And a lot of people do go that route because it's way
traditional.
Yep. It's traditional, and it really is the way that we're taught. I would have loved to learn about what a 1031 exchange was when I was a junior in high school, or if I knew like what I could write off on my taxes, or like what like loan pay down was, like any of that stuff, and how like the interest changes, or like, what's a variable rate mortgage or a fixed rate, like, stuff like that. So, I mean, the education world, I feel like teaches you how to learn. And then when you're out of it, you gotta learn how to learn on your own.
Yep.
After you've learned how to learn, because you're not going to use everything that you got there, probably in the grand scheme of life, a very, very slim amount of that. So
yeah,
in the business world and like in how I see things like set out as I go older, like you see people that are very successful who by society standards, because they didn't graduate college, it's like, oh, how come this person like has what they have? And then, there's other people that, are like professors or something, or, not to knock anyone in these professions, but, they can be struggling still.
Yeah.
Even with all of that stuff. So that's kind of changed my outlook on that whole situation, as to how wealth is generated and preserved. Because some people make money and then burn through it, and then there's nothing left for like the family coming afterwards or anything like that.
Yep.
But, and, the other thing is too, it's like, there's, like I said before, there's like not a limited amount of pie. Everyone, you can help people. Like no one's going to steal your grand idea and like run away with it, and you're going to be left out. Like if you just stay diligent and work hard, that is big as well. And anybody can do it. And, the wealth can be shared amongst everyone. And then I will say too, like hard work doesn't always mean like
big payoff,
because I remember I was reading a book by Stefan Arnio. He was a real estate guy. If hard work made people rich, construction workers and waitresses would be the wealthiest around us because they bust their asses.
They do.
But you have to also be smart and make good choices. So it's very mental as well. What choices are you making day to day with that money that you're earning and with that time that you're forfeiting? And you got to look at things on like a time to time basis. So, this iPhone cost $1,000. How much time are you spending at work to actually afford that? So yeah, in the business sense, and like we said too, I mean, I think that there are a lot of people that are willing to help. There's a lot of people in this world. Sure, some of them are going to be either jealous or not want to see you succeed, or not going to want to be patient, not going to want to deal with you, not going to want to teach you, not going to want to take you under their wing. But there's some that will, and there's some that will give you, even whether it's a small tidbit of information that's going to help you or actually mentor you through the entire process. There's going to be all sorts of individuals across that whole spectrum. So yeah, it's so yeah, I mean, I guess that's how my perception of, the business and the world that we live in has kind of changed too. And then a lot of young people come out of school, and I mean, we really are infants in the real world. Like we had things paid for us before that. And, we were just always in school, and we never had to like work and support ourselves. And then like, you jump into it, and then, learning on a whole nother level takes place. It's all different. So, you definitely start to perceive things differently when you're transitioning from a youth into a self-sufficient adult, I will say.
Definitely, man.
And that changes how you feel about a lot of stuff. It changes how you feel about the people that you want to spend time with. And, it changes like what you want to spend your money on. It changes what's important to learn and what, you can ignore. What, what values is a big thing. I feel like when people mature, they go through a value change.
Mm-hmm.
And, especially, as you progress, freedom, time, family, enjoyment, getting the most out of what you possibly can during our short time on this planet. Those are all things that are very valuable, and helping, like, you genuinely feel good when you can help somebody too. So I think that a lot of people genuinely do help other people, not wanting anything in return, because they get a lot of, enjoyment out of that. So definitely. I think values makes up a huge part of it.
Yeah, I definitely agree that, with the values, that there is definitely like a win-win standard that can be accomplished really across anything. Like, from, or even like for me talking to you right now, it's absolutely huge, for me to have you on, because, you're a lot more experienced than I am, and, be able to push this out to a bunch of people and, be able to give them that information and, this really valuable knowledge. And, I love being able to shout you out too, and, have people maybe connect with you after through that. And like there's potential for a win-win. And even like, to, something a little bit different, like if you had a property and, like you said, like you were talking about earlier, cleaning it might not be the best source of your time, in certain situations. So, you spend a little bit of your money to have somebody come in and clean that. Now you get to retain your time for, things that are more efficient for you, give them a little bit of money, and then they have a little bit more money in their pocket for their time.
You're right.
I feel like there's totally a win-win that can be done across the board. And
you're right.
In most things. And
that's very true.
Even I'm glad earlier you said you were talking about the professor, because I actually have a story about this that like I've never really had the opportunity to talk about. So when I finished high school, I did my HVAC trade for a year.
Yep.
Sick of my company, and then I ended up going to a community college for a year. Now, I was getting pretty interested in the investing, at this point. And I had this English teacher in college, and we had to write a little paper or whatever, and I wrote about something having to do with investing. I forget. And I put the letters ROI, for those who don't know, it's return on investment, in the paper a couple times. And I didn't think anything of it, because my teacher was like 80, 90 years old, something like that. I'm like, she definitely knows what this is. I shouldn't have to like disclose it, I guess. And she came up to me when she was passing the papers around after they were corrected, and she's like, "Who's this Roy guy?" And like my heart just sank. I'm like, "Are you serious right now?" Like, she's gone her whole life. If she's happy, don't get me wrong, like, then phenomenal, like, good for her. I'm glad she enjoyed being a teacher. But if she didn't really understand that, then she might not have ever seen the potential for creating wealth and living the life that she may have actually wanted to.
Exactly.
That was a huge eye opener for me. I was like, whoa, like, this is like, not everybody knows about this kind of thing.
Right.
Here I was assuming that she, knew, and I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I know.
She never got the preview, I guess, of what's possible. She just kind of followed the norm, and it's like, wow.
Yep.
That was crazy.
I know what you're saying. It's, part of it too is a lot of people need to try different things.
Yeah.
Like, if, you just can't be even if you're going to suck at it and fail at it, you still got to try something, even if it interests you the slightest bit.
Yep.
So, I mean, I tried picking stocks before. Thought it was kind of tough. Like, I've tried doing, different things here and there.
Yeah.
Kind of like, studying different things, changing my mind about what I wanted to go to school for. I changed my jobs 3 times already. I'm on my 3rd company, just kind of like figuring out exactly what I like doing day to day, and what there is for opportunity and learning. But yeah, just like that professor, I mean, if you're happy doing something, then that's great. And, you figured it out, and maybe that's it. But if you're not happy, you don't want to sit anywhere and be miserable day to day. Just like start, trying different things. And if you're bad at it, that's fine. Put it down and try something else.
Yep.
So
I totally agree with you, man. I feel like people don't really taste enough and see what they actually like to do. And maybe people get uncomfortable like trying new things and
yeah, definitely. Or they're afraid
people,
what someone is going to think of them for trying it.
Exactly. Like there's so many things out there, that you can do. And like we're never going to get a chance, in all of our lives to try everything.
Right.
But if you can try as much stuff as you want, like you might be into one thing that, that you would have never thought of if you didn't try it. And, if you never give it a shot, because, this guy's going to call you an idiot, you're not going to try it, whatever, then, you might not ever know,
right.
what's out there. And, just putting yourself out there in general it's essential, it's
very true.
You just have to taste and see what you like.
For sure. So, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to think of what else too. It's like, it can be with pretty much almost anything, even if you're trying a new hobby. Like,
yep.
Some people, they'll try something one time, really be into it, turn it into a hobby, like it so much, it becomes a side hustle. And then, who knows? They're having a lot of fun. They're meeting a lot of people. They're doing what they love to do, and they're making money while they're doing it. So,
yep.
Yeah.
Amen.
Exactly. Yep.
What is your best piece of advice to new investors that want to start and manage their rental portfolio?
Okay.
I know there's been so much.
Yeah. My biggest piece of advice, I would say, is I would put together the tools that you need in order to make a confident decision that will set you up for success. And I will put those tools down as like management skills. Because if you're going to have any sort of tenant, whether it's in one bedroom or a whole unit or multiple units, you need to know how you're going to manage that. And that's a big skill. There's people that have MBAs in management, and then there's people that read a ton of books on management. There's managers that are terrible at management, and there's people that aren't managers that are phenomenal managers.
Totally.
And there's some parents that can manage a household and some that can't. So wherever you may be, I don't know how you're going to figure it out, but practice, educate yourself, and be a good manager, because you need to manage your time. You need to manage the tenants. You need to manage the problems. It really is management. Like a property manager can have a full-time job managing a property. So in your first or second or third one, when you're still really involved with it, take some time, invest in yourself, learning management skills. So that's one tool. And then I would say too, like the financial thing is really big. So when you're getting going, know what cash reserves mean, know what return on investment means, know what cash flow means, know what DTI means, know what LTV means, know what a refinance will do. If you know all of this and you know what money is going to go where, and you can manage the finances, like I said, that's another piece of the management, managing the finances. What do you do when this paycheck comes in? What are you going to do when this rent check comes in?
Yep.
Like, paying the taxes on it. So I would say, that's the other thing too, is just wrapping your head around the finances with your Excel sheets, with your calculations, with your analysis, not to the point where you have analysis paralysis, but just roughly, like you can be decent at math to help you, but it's really not rocket science. You just got to take a little bit of time to just sort through it. Not that it's going to take, months to figure it out. Not that it's going to take, you're going to have to hire scientist to do it for you. I'm just saying, get that buttoned up so that when you buy something that you won't get hurt.
Yeah.
So, to the newer investors that are, if they're going to pull anything away from this, organize yourself, manage everything around you, and then know what you're going to do financially. And, those are two components that are very crucial, I would say, because you don't want to set yourself up into something that you are going to have to get out of, or, you don't want it to be a bad experience. You don't want a bad taste in your mouth from it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I would say. If someone told me how to go about it, those are like the biggest things.
Mm-hmm.
And, there are a lot of personal skills there that you got to learn. So
Definitely.
Some people have them naturally. Some have more than others. Some are lacking in some areas, but are better in others. It's good to figure out, I guess, what you're lacking in as far as that goes, and then try to execute from there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's huge.
Mm.
It is really huge. What is a common myth about building a portfolio that you want to debunk?
I love this question. So even from just buying a condo in an expensive area to buying rental properties, everyone thinks that you need to have a ton of money. And they'll say, oh, when I'm older, I'll be able to afford it. Or I'll wait until I'm 40 to invest in real estate, or I'll wait until I'm 50, or I'll wait until I'm 35, whatever.
Yep.
Real estate is powerful in that it is one of the only assets you can purchase with so much leverage. So you don't need a lot of money. You can put a little money down and it can go a long way as long as you manage it properly and you do the right thing with it. So like, I knew somebody who bought an FHA loan, 3-family, and it was like $700,000, and they only had to scrape together, I think, like $25,000. That's 3.5% of that. And then managed to have the seller pay the closing costs because they were looking to get out.
Yep.
So you're in a cash generating, appreciating asset that is costing you either close to $0 or you're positively cash flowing already from the other 2 units renting, in a property that costs that much. And like, you're in it. You can live there. You can keep your job. You can save a lot more money, and then you can just run with that, learn to manage, learn to do what you have to do, and then save money, and then like do it again. So as you're fixing up and like adding value, the equity plays are huge. And then, a year or 2 goes by, you get a refinance. Like they'll come and say that your house is worth even more. You made money on the spot. So that's like the standard way with a federal loan. There's ways to get, I haven't done it this way yet, but there's ways to get private money. Yeah. You can get hard loans for short periods of time. If you know someone who's wealthy and willing to invest, like people will hand you money. Mm-hmm. I know like there's books out there investing in real estate with no, like low or no money down. Yep. But even if you don't go to great lengths to find something like that, or an individual that's going to just give you all that you need, like you should be able to like scrape together $20,000.
Yeah.
Like just do it. Whether you have to live at home, whether you have to work overtime, whether you have to eat ramen noodles, like everyone's situation is different. Right.
Yep.
But don't make an excuse. You can really just focus in on what you need to do, and you can hit that ball. Like it's not, it doesn't have to be overcomplicated, and it doesn't have to be, like having a ton of money down. So, and then, people will say too, like, well, yeah, that's the biggest one that I like to debunk. But there's some other ones too, as far as like, saying that being a landlord is miserable and that type of thing. And a lot of the people that are saying that have never done it before.
Yep.
But you do have your issues. But at the end of the day, if you set your systems up correctly and you do the right thing, screening, etc., like you're gonna have bumps in the road, like regardless, but it'll still be worth it in the end.
Yeah.
Or in the middle of it. Not so much that. Yeah. It'll be worth it when you're still like 35 and not that old. Then it'll continue to be worth it until you're older. But yeah, no, that's the thing. Like I saw this post the other day or something, and it was like that new iPhone 12 that just came out is 20% of a down payment you would need to buy a $500,000 house or something.
Yep.
Like
I've seen posts like that.
I don't know if that was the exact number, but you know what I mean? Like you can be smart with your money to like make it work for you with leverage, really.
See, like posts like that I really like, because it puts things into perspective that kind of speaks to everybody. Like even people who, just ordinary people who aren't really into real estate. It just kind of shows you like, kind of where your priorities are. And in the grand scheme of things, like, 10, 15, 20, 30 grand, it's attainable, as long as you're diligent and, like you said, you might have to sacrifice a little bit, but, if you really want this, then you're going to sacrifice. You're going to do what you have to do to get to that point. Right. And then, like you said, as leveraged as you can be, like buying real estate in general, like 3.5% down, or, there are some that are like no money down. Like I think like a USDA loan or something in like some situations is like, I don't know. I never really got into those, but
yeah.
It's, or like you said, private money, people who, you meet the right people from networking, and if you kind of have your stuff together or bring them like a good property, they might literally give you the money for it. And it's insane. Like,
yeah. Oh yeah.
Anybody can do it. You're 100% right. We just have to have the desire to go out and get it.
And even between like 5 years ago and now, I know like a handful of people that are doing it that are younger than 30, and like the proof is in the pudding. Like it's out there. There are people doing this, and you can do it too. So, it's it is cool stuff in that regard. So yeah, I would say that's my biggest myth that I would have to debunk. I've heard stories of people living in literally San Francisco where everything's over like $2 million, and they still somehow bought a single family that needed work, but like was a 4-bedroom, and then they made 2 bedrooms downstairs and lived in one and rented out all 5, and still were cash flowing like positive. Like there are ways. There's always ways.
Totally. You can do it anywhere.
Yep. And that's the other thing too. It's like the numbers are higher, but everything's just inflated. So, I mean, obviously that's not true for every market, and you got to analyze it. But like if you typically, if the houses are well into the hundreds of thousands, your rent's going to be significantly higher, probably because you're in a more desirable area. And then 5% of that house increase is going to be more money than 5% of $100,000 house increase. So you're just working with bigger numbers, but you don't want to be intimidated by the big numbers. Yeah. It's crazy. What is it? You can get like a house hack, do an FHA on a 4-unit, live in 1, rent out 3. And like the limit is like over $1 million or something.
I know.
It sounds like you're taking a big bite there that most people would want to chew, but it's possible if the numbers work and you're confident in your abilities. There's those things that are out there.
Yeah, you're definitely right. Even like a strategy that may work in this market, won't work in other markets, but the same goes for them. Other strategies in those markets will work that won't work here. Like I feel like you just have to kind of match, the strategy with your situation and go from there. It's like David Green, he hosts the Bigger Pockets podcast for, some of those people who haven't really checked it out. He said a couple times to like live where you want to live, but invest where the numbers make sense. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
And it's totally true.
Yeah.
You just have to match, find out what your plan's going to be and where
Right.
it's going to work. And then, go from there.
That's true. That's true. I know certain markets are better if you're just putting 20% down, getting a multi, and, you're just looking solely on cash flow. And, there are a lot of places in the Midwest and in the South where, certain demographics and areas, it's working out better. But, when you're in a more expensive place or more desirable place, you just got to be a bit more creative. I didn't I'm close with my family, and I wanted to stay in this area, and I like the whole New England feel and everything. And, I've been a lifelong Boston area person. I didn't really want to get out of here. So I had to look at what was going to work for me in this area. So
totally, man.
So you just got to shift gears, kind of like change it up, because what works in certain places may not work as well in other places. Because you see too, like there's a bunch of people that only have single families in their rental portfolio. And then in other areas of the country, people only have multis. And in some places they have a 50-50 mix of both. Some people make good investments with condos. Like condos, some people aren't saying are good investments, but it all depends on where.
You're right.
So just getting really in touch and really familiar with your market area is a big thing.
Yeah.
So.
That's true. Definitely.
But yeah.
And last but not least.
Yes.
Do you read? I know, we talked quite a bit about, all the books that there ever were basically earlier.
Yeah.
But, what is your favorite business, investing, or real estate book that you would recommend to anyone? If you had to pick one.
If I had to pick one. All right. So yeah, I will say to start off, right? Even in middle school and in high school, I didn't like reading. I hated English class. I was like a math and science guy. You couldn't give me a history book and couldn't get lost in it. But then later in life, I figured out you give me a self-help book or like something about real estate investments or something. I can't believe how fast I could get through it.
Oh, yeah.
So I really started picking it up when I was like 20 years old, like reading a bunch of books and stuff. But I know it's a common one for a lot of people. It actually was the first one that I read. It was, Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yeah.
Because that, with the whole cash flow thing, it's very, very high level. Like you're not gonna come out of that book and be like, oh, I'm all right, I'm gonna like do this now and like buy this asset. But it just gives you a high level understanding about assets versus liabilities versus cash flow versus like working for your own, like working for yourself, like trading time for money or having money work for you. So that's the backbone to the whole thing. And I think that book is very valuable, because when you put that book down, then you want to start researching other assets, one of which is real estate. So he doesn't go big into the whole real estate thing there. He talks about how he bought like some houses and had, a few investments and that type of thing, sold them later, made a profit in the growing areas, but I think it was Arizona. But that transitioned into a lot of other books. But yeah, I would say that was my number one and my biggest one to get me going. But then after that, I read a lot of the bigger pockets books. I read the house hacking one because I'm doing the house hack, actually, like single family house hack. Craig's book. He worked with bigger pockets on that one too. That was a good one. And then like Mark Ferguson, he has building a rental property empire. That's a good one. Your First Million is a good one. He's this guy who by 30 years old had $1 million worth of properties just from, I think he was a police officer, and just worked a normal job and just invested his money into rental properties and managed them properly. And then he was on his way, kind of showing how you can just be an average person starting out and then just, become a millionaire from it. Yeah. And then, there's a book, the Tax-Free Wealth book, good one on tax strategies.
I'm reading that one right now again, actually.
Yeah, I thought I saw that one on your Instagram story. Yeah. That was an interesting one. Definitely more helpful when you have a lot more assets and like a lot more things that you can put down. But still good to know.
Definitely.
Really, really good to know.
Yeah.
And then I'm trying to think. I forget who wrote it. There was Building Wealth One House at a Time. That was like a big single family one.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy was like buying houses that needed the work that he knew that he could do really well, but still were solid structures. Would buy them below market, go in, renovate as needed, live in them for like 2 years, sell it, rent or rent it, and then get another one, keep going, and then amassed a large portfolio. But yeah, those are all good ones to read. And then specifically, I know if you wanted, like, there's one on long distance investing. So if you're not around the property a lot and you're kind of just managing it from multiple states away, that's a good one for that.
That one's awesome.
Yeah, the managing one is pretty good too. I know that was a Brandon Turner book, Managing Rental Properties, because it has like the full breakdown. There's even examples in the back for each state about what a tenant like lease agreement should look like. The lead laws, he explains all of that stuff. That's a pretty thick book, and it goes everything from screening, background checks, like managing, collecting the payment, what to do with a security deposit, what to do first month's, last month rent, the bank account. Like, that was a good one. There's a lot of material in there. So
I think that's the Bigger Pockets book that I don't have. I might have to change that.
Yeah, I just got that one too. Yep. And I wasn't because it was revised. I think there's a newer version of it now or something, because it said new, and I was like, oh, I haven't seen this one, but it looks important, so I bought it. So
yeah,
but yeah, you just keep it going. But yeah, the books are they are helpful. You can fly through them.
Oh yeah.
You should read for at least like 15-20 minutes a day, whether when you first get up in the morning or right before you go to bed. Just, it's not a big time suck out of your day. A little bit of knowledge here and there. It helps. It goes a long way.
That's one thing. I consider a book as an asset. So I literally I have a bunch of like an everlasting list of books that people recommend. I literally just write them down.
Yep.
You never know what kind of perspectives you're going to see. And like, if you can pull at least one thing that might change your mindset a little bit, or something that you didn't know from each book, like, that it compounds. It's ridiculous.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I'm glad you talked about Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because it may be, a little bit more of a common
book. A lot of people have read it, but I feel like everybody's read it, but
it's so important that it's ridiculous. That was the first one that I read too, and I recommend it to everybody.
Yeah.
It's nuts. Like, I'm telling my friends now about it and trying to get them to read it, and like one of my buddies is halfway through it now, and like he's starting to kind of like digest some of this stuff, and I'm like, all right, dude, let's go. Starting them off.
Yep. For sure.
Yeah.
And I've let like friends borrow it too, and I've like just straight up handed it to people and just said, get through this. And they're like, I don't like reading. Let me do the audiobook. And I was like, all right, then listen to the audiobook. Just listen to it. Consume it as you're on your way to your job that you're pissed off that you have to go in early for a meeting for. Just please listen to it.
Yep. It's life-changing stuff, man. It's like an $8 book. Or I think I paid like $8 for it.
Yeah, I know. Me too. right around there, something like that.
Exactly. Yeah. That's definitely, there's like a handful of books that I'm probably going to read every year for probably the rest of my life, honestly, just as like a refresher. And that's definitely like the big one.
Yep.
That book's totally worth its weight in gold. It's sure. Just incredible.
Yep. I would agree.
Yep. But thank you so much, Joe, for coming on here again, man.
Sure.
There was so
Thanks for having me.
There was so much in this episode, and it's insane. I'm probably going to go back and watch this one a couple times over just to make sure I digest everything.
Nice. Yeah. And I guess for an ending note too, I like jotted this down when the quote from Jim Rohn, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Hang out and spend time with people that are, in this case, I guess, managing rental properties, flipping houses, doing all that stuff. If it's what you like to cars, hang out with those people. Like it'll rub off. It's going to rub off. If your 4 best friends have 10 rental properties, you'll probably have at least 6.
Yep, that's how it works.
Yeah,
it just works. It's osmosis.
So yeah,
but
yeah.
Where can people reach you the best?
So I mean, I'm on Bigger Pockets as Joseph DeCola. I'm on there. I think it says Malden, Mass, and then it talks about my first property. I'm big in the discussion for the house hack, North Shore, Massachusetts. So you can catch me on there.
Yep.
And then let's see what else. I mean, I'm on Facebook, Joseph DeCola as well, and I'm on Instagram as Joey.Deeks, Deeks. So yeah. If anyone's interested in learning about anything that I've done, or how this is going, or have any questions, shoot me a message, or I'll get back to you. So you can do it over the phone too if needed. But glad I could attend and offer my experience and kind of share what I've done and what I plan to do. So all good stuff.
So much.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. All right.
It was awesome to talk to you again, man.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I'm sure we'll have a bunch of, continued talks going forward as we both progress too and expand the network. So
yeah, definitely.
I look forward to other shows with other people like me and, people that I'm trying to learn about what they're doing as well.
Yep.
So keep up the good work. I like all the content that you got is pretty good.
Thanks a bunch, man.
Nice website. Nice. Yeah. No, I mean, the content is great on the, the Instagram page, the website, the videos, the podcast. So
you're the best, man. Thank you.
It's helping people.
I'm trying.
Sure is. So that's all positive.
Yep.
But keep up the good work.
All right, guys, that concludes our Creating Wealth podcast episode for today. I want to thank every single person that has listened this far. It really means a lot to know that people can learn from me and with me as we build wealth together. Hopefully, you can take home at least one thing from this podcast that will improve your life just a little bit. If you could, please check me out on social. That's at Kyle Curtin Real Estate on Instagram, Facebook, and I'm on Bigger Pockets. Until next time, let's build together.